Many years ago, while I was at DLAI, I would go camping in Big Sur, a descent amount, and have seen and heard some wild stuff in the woods at night. We were woken up one night to all the bushes and stuff around us rustling really loud, almost deafening to the point of not being able to hear my friend next to me speak. There was no wind and the air was really still. I have no idea how it was going but it went in for a couple minutes and then all of a sudden just stopped and went back to being dead silent. Have also just been sitting there in dead silence and seen all the dirt and leaves start flying up in a straight line moving really fast right towards me only to stop a few feet away. There was never anything there when it stopped except a straight line of pushed up dirt and brush. Have also seen some orbs out over the Pacific Ocean at night that were definitely not planes or helicopters. Orbs and stuff moving around in really fast weird patterns.
About 13 years ago, I was parked over by the old Post Chapel on Fort Myer. It was a wet and rainy February day. I briefly looked up from my phone and saw a soldier walk past me who was appropriately dressed for the weather in Union Civil War attire. I figured it was someone from the Army's Twilight Tattoo, but when I went back to look and appreciate the authenticity of his facial hair and non-standard haircut, he was gone. He looked very similar to Matthew Broderick's portrayal of Cal Shaw in Glory. There is no way anyone crossed that parking lot that fast, and there was nowhere to go other than the housing area.
The night sky out in the sands of a nondisclosed desert of the Middle East can get you lost in a gaze. There was one time I had seen a strange light. It was white, and it was making abnormal movements. Naturally, I thought it would be a UAS, but I continued to watch it, and it just ... did things a UAS wouldn't do. At some point, the one light split into two and would move parallel to each other. Then suddenly they started moving individually. Eventually they flew out of the blast zone for the radiation device. I was operating in straight overhead and off into the distance. Looked about satellite level in the atmosphere. No counter-UA systems picked something up. But I got a strange unknown on my system that night at a disturbingly high altitude, and it cleared a long distance to make its way where I was if it was what I picked up on the system. I'm talking thousands of kilometers in a few minutes. All was just chalked up to a site anomaly in official reports. But IDK man, something wasn't right about that.
Well, I have two of equal fright level, if you will. But the slightly freakier one happened 10 years ago when I was around 7 or 8. The other one happened a month ago. But I'll tell the former here. Used to live in a Dutch colonial house in 3 separate times. IDK how long apart. I was walking up the stairs to the 2nd story. And the way it was laid out was my sister's room was directly to the left once you reached the top of the stairs. Anyhow, all 3 times I was walking up the stairs and out of habit, I guess, I look into my sister's room on the left, and each time I, full on, not peripheral, see a shadow version of my sister kneeling on her bed. The 3rd time I walked up to it and called out my sister's name, but as I got closer and closer, whatever the fuck this thing was just slowly dissolved. I ran back downstairs, and my sister was at the table doing homework. And mind you, she didn't run up the stairs before me any of the times.
I was inside my boyfriend's house in a very historic part of the USA. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after we ate. He was passing through the kitchen when I turned to ask him where to put something as he passed by me to go into the family room. I waited. No answer. Feeling ignored, I kept cleaning. When I was finished, I went to the family room to sit down to watch TV with him. I asked him why he ignored me. He said he hadn't, that he had been sitting in there the whole time, and he had. He never passed by me. He said that it was his dead father that haunts his home. It was. I had at least 3 other occurrences of seeing his father there. I grew accustomed to encounters, but even now it still raises the hairs on the back of my neck.
During my senior year of high school, I had a friend living with me in my room. Kept it a secret from my dad. Long story, anyways. One night, Dad, Mom, and I leave to go to dinner at a local sports bar. 20-ish minutes into us being there, I get a text from my friend saying, "Hey, I thought you guys left." And I said, "Yeah, we did. We sat down like 10 minutes ago." "Why, what's up?" And he said that he'll tell me later and to bring him back some food. I get back and I asked him what happened. And he said that he was chilling on his phone. And out of nowhere, he heard 3 solid knocks on the door to my bedroom. He said he freaked out and hid, thinking my dad was knocking on the door or something. But after a minute or two, he texted me, and after my answer, he left and checked the house. No one else was there. Nothing hit the door. He even tried to recreate it, and he couldn't. I was skeptical. But also, he's not one to make shit up. Like that, and it is not the only weird thing to ever happen in that house. It was a few months later I'm awake one night. When I was off work from my night stalker job and my parents, had recently split up, so I was the only one in the house. I heard the knocking on my door. It was like 2 a.m. when it happened. 3 solid knocks with about a second, or just shy of a second in between each knock. I remember just staring at the door in disbelief that it happened, but also freaked out because I knew I was the only person home. I saw the door moving from the knocks, and that door has never done that before in the 26 years I lived in that room. I carefully scanned for the knife I kept on my headboard and eventually grabbed it and checked the house. And again, no one was there but me. Totally freaked me out. Spent the night playing Dark Souls 3, I think, and kept checking the door, lol.